welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk a little bit about music, where it's going, and what's been going on in the music business. I saw an article today on Facebook. This guy was talking about how music has been dumbed down since 1955 to 2010. He did some study and whatever. It just came down to that music was being dumbed down. And I'm not sure I 100% agree with that, in the respect of that 1955 was pretty dumbed down music anyway, when almost every song is a 1-6-4-5 progression. A lot of those songs back then. Now, maybe he's taking into account that all the harmonies going on in the vocal, because they had all those singing groups. But I definitely think that somewhere in the mid 60s on, music progressed to a level that was really great. Frank Zappa talks about the young people taking over the music business and the hip people and how they've ruined it, and how that a big cigar chomping old guy would take more chances because he didn't know what would make money, and therefore he let the audience decide. Some things they would lose money on and some things they wouldn't. Today what happens is there's so much money being put, and when I say today, I mean in the last 20 years, not so much even today, but even today, there's so much money being pushed into the very few artists that they have, that if it doesn't succeed, they're hurting because they've put so much money. I mean, you're talking millions and millions of dollars behind promoting it. Whereas back in the day, you could put out a band and slow release them and see how people like them, and so I had a few comments from a guy, I'm assuming it's a guy, Miroslava, who commented about how important 74 was to him or her. I don't know. I don't know the name, so I apologize. But let's assume it's a man, because I just, when I read it, that's the voice that I heard. And 74 and then 72, which are two great years. So I thought it'd be a great idea to go back and look at some years that were important to me, which, I mean, eventually I'm going to hit probably from the day I was born, the year of 68, till somewhere up in 2000 maybe, as being important years. Maybe not so much 2000, maybe 95 might have been the last year, or 96, that I gave a shit about music. It's funny because, a lot of these guitar players, I'm very friendly with a guy that's on Norman's Rare Guitars. I used to work with Mark Agnesi, and he's a great, great guy, great sales guy. He's really smart, and he knows his stuff. And but up at that shop on their show, all they talk about is, I mean, they sit there like this on Joe Bonamassa. It's like, and Joe's a great guitar player, but honestly, I bought 3 or 4 of his albums, and I can't find a song on there that I give a shit about, that I would even care about. And I talked about, like, Robin Trower's Bridge of Sighs, who's probably not as technical a great a player as Joe Bonamassa is, and I'm being in all seriousness. Trower's probably a much more limited player, but had songs. And that really goes to what I wanted to talk about, which is about, the way, YouTube is a lot about, like, a lot of shredding dudes, and I could get up here and just start going over, like in the intro here, I used Aaliyah by Donnie Iris, mainly because it's from 1980, which is the year I want to talk about. I feel like that is such an important part of it, is about the songs, Every guitar player knows who Yngwie Malmsteen is, but not every person knows who he is, and most your layman people don't know who he is. And that's because he doesn't have any songs. Those songs are like, I mean, people can argue and put in the comments all the shit you want to say about me. That's fine. The guy hasn't had a song. I mean, honestly, the Alcatraz record I really liked, and I really liked those songs, but I got turned on to those songs when I was maybe 14 or 15 years old. And that's who they were geared for. As an adult, I would have listened to that and would have been like, yeah. But as a kid, I grew up with it, and I love it, and I still has an endearing part of my, that I enjoy, but they're not, like, I wouldn't call them songs, well-written songs. We look at today. So, I came back here like 2013, 14, back and forth, because my dad was ill and he's doing better now. But and I came and started watching like a lot of live bands around here to see what's going on. And every band is playing this song called Valerie. I've never even heard this song before in my life. I guess it was an Amy Winehouse song that she covered from a band called like the Zootons or something like that. Not a great song. But for some reason everyone feels like they need to cover it. It's a little catchy, whatever. I mean, it's no way is it Valerie, from Steve Winwood, which was a great song, or even the Monkees' Valerie, which was a pop great song. This is just a basic, boring. It's it's a way that singers get to go out there and show off how effective they can be in their voice. And it's like everyone thinks they're Amy Winehouse now singing like that. She was kind of like a unique thing. The problem that I have with music today is everyone just seems to copy everybody, whether it's good or bad. And I think Amy Winehouse stuff is somewhat unique, but I don't think it's great. Therefore, I don't think you need to have sound-alikes. It's like back when the Beatles came out, everybody wanted to sound like the Beatles. There were songs by, was it the Knickerbockers that did Lies? I mean, it sounds just like the Beatles. Of course, the Beatles pruned Badfinger in some ways to sound Beatlesque. ELO is very Beatlesque. I mean, it's very derivative, although it's derivative of many bands. I think that ELO also was very much influenced by the Bee Gees and, just a lot of his heroes as songwriters, which I don't find bad because I think he wrote brilliant songs. In fact, I think in some respects he wrote better songs in some cases and had some real clever chord changes, which I think are really important. And if you're an ELO fan, or you're not an ELO fan, I would check out, there's a ballad on the Discovery album called Need Her Love, which I think is great. And the chord changes are just beautiful. There's the minor five he plays in that song I just love that takes you back to the four, to a minor four, that I think is just a brilliant group of changes. But anyways, I think about music today and what's being released today, and it's like I can't name 10 albums in the last 10 years that I could say are as good as 10 albums that I could name from 1980. It's like, so we're talking from 2007 to 2017. Can we name 10 albums that we would consider brilliant? Because let me show you what 1980 has. Van Halen, somewhat still a new band. Women and Children First. I mean, come on, that record is awesome. In the Cradle of Rock, Everybody Wants Some, Fools, Romeo Delight, In a Simple Rhyme, Could This Be Magic, Take Your Whiskey Home, Loss of Control, Tora Tora, fantastic album. How about Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz? How fantastic is that album? I mean, still to this day, you can listen to it and it's fresh. The songs are great. Devo, Freedom of Choice. I could name every song on this album, from Girl You Want, which you can see I do like a solo video of, because I'm a big Bob Mothersbaugh fan. Ton of Love, Snowball, Gates of Steel, Whip It. Love the whole record. Love it. AC/DC, Back in Black. I think, other than Michael Jackson's Thriller, it's the biggest selling album worldwide ever. Unbelievable. The Cars, Panorama. Now, this is funny because the Cars, and when I say funny, I mean more peculiar than haha. The Cars, I think that I now favor Candy-O, the album, over Panorama. As a kid, Panorama was my favorite album. Going back, the recording of Panorama isn't as nice as the recording of Candy-O, and I think the songs sound better. And because of that, I now like that album better, because when I listen to Panorama, I'm like, oh, it just sounds like this. Like, it just wasn't recorded very good. I just thought that they did, I don't know if it was a rush job, but RTB, Roy Thomas Baker, still did the producing on that album. How about Rush, Permanent Waves? great record. Who's putting out a record anything close to that? I mean, side one is 3 songs. You've got Spirit of the Radio, Free Will, and Jacob's Ladder. And then side, oh wait, is the other one 3 songs? I think the other might be 3 songs too. You had Entre Nous, Different Strings, and Natural Science. I mean, come on. Nobody's doing anything like that. I didn't even think about it but I'm now thinking. I think Yes Drama was that year too, and that's a great record with when they had the singer that replaced John Anderson, Trevor Horn. One of my favorite albums of all time, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Awesome, brilliant. Neon Nights, Heaven and Hell, Die Young, Walk Away, Lonely is the Word, Children of the Sea. I mean, come on. Think about what these records did for back then. I mean, it was just compared to what's going on in today in music. It's insane. I mean, you could even look at like some pop records like REO Speedwagon's High Infidelity. It's a great album. Yeah, it's cheesy, it's this, it's that. I mean, it's great. I don't care what anyone says. Those records were great. Prince, Dirty Mind, one of my all-time favorite Prince. In fact, it's my top 3 Prince albums, and it might be number 1, Dirty Mind from 1980. Awesome. I mean, that record was great. Uptown, Do It All Night, the song Dirty Mind. It's just great. And of course, it leads into Controversy, the next album, but I think Dirty Mind's one of my all-time favorites. Another album, if you're somewhat of a Prince fan or you're into some stuff, check out the album. I believe it's called Come, and it's from 1993. Some people refer to the album as The Death of Prince because he's looking over his grave, and it was it was the last album he did before he changed to the symbol. But that's a great album, and that's, I think, 93, if I'm not mistaken. But Dirty Mind, awesome. Dire Straits making movies. I mean, you gotta be kidding me here, right? Skate Away, Espresso Love, Romeo and Juliet. Awesome. Awesome, awesome album. I mean, we're talking about records. I mean, think about what came out in the last 10 years. How about Steely Dan Gaucho? Hey 19, Glamour Profession, Babylon Sisters, Time Out of Mind, which had Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits on guitar. Great. Then we have Pete Townsend, Empty Glass, Rough Boys, Gonna Get You, Let My Love Open the Door. I mean, I could put Let My Love Open the Door over any song from the last 10 years. Forget about any albums. I mean, these were great songs. It was a great time. It was the end of the 70s, the beginning of the 80s. We weren't really completely into that over-the-top 80s. It still had a 70s feel. It's great stuff. Recently, I went down the rabbit hole on some Pat Benatar stuff. Crimes of Passion, 1980. Great album. And personally, I think it's her best. Fantastic record. She does the cover of the Rascals' You Better Run. Of course, Hit Me With Your Best Shot's not my all-time favorite, but Hell Is for Children's a great record. I'm Gonna Follow You, I believe, is on that record. Great, great album. Queen, The Game. Are you kidding me? Dragon Attack. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. The song The Game. I Need Your Love Tonight. What's the other one there? Another One Bites the Dust. That record was produced by a guy named Reinhold Mack. And for those that don't know, I mean, you could actually hear the next year in 81, Billy Squier came out with Don't Say No album with The Stroke and My Kind of Lover and In the Dark and Lonely as the Night. Also produced by Reinhold Mack. The guy's a great producer, and he's also a great engineer. He engineered, I think, most of the ELO stuff, Discovery, Out of the Blue, the album before Out of the Blue, can't think of the name, but whatever. The guy's awesome. He's produced so much stuff. But check out Reinhold Mack. He's really brilliant. I really think he's one of the best producers. His drum sounds are great. A modern guy with great drum sounds, Terry Date. If you listen to like the Deftones record, White Pony, fantastic. Anyways, moving on. For the metal guys, Judas Priest, British Steel. Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, come on. These records are fantastic. I mean, it's just, that was such an important album. I mean, every song on that album, The Rage, Steeler, You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, Living After Midnight, Breaking the Law. I mean, 1980, everybody. This is all that came out in 1980. Now, of course, like the way music works, when I say these albums in 1980, some of them were leaking into the radio by 81. They weren't really on the radio, but these are what was being released, what was being produced and released in 1980. And look at the last 10 years of music. It's frightening. The Talking Heads Remain in Light album. Once in a Lifetime. Cross-Eyed and Painless. What's it called? The Great Curve. The World Moves to a Woman's Hips. Awesome, awesome record. I think that had Adrian Belew on the lead on that one too. Just great stuff. The Pretenders' first album. I mean, I could go name every song on this. I mean, Brass in Pocket, Private Life, Mystery Achievement. Every song on that record is awesome. The Stones' Emotional Rescue. And every one of my friends who knows me knows I say this is the most underrated Stones album and might be their best. You have the hit song Emotional Rescue, which at the time was them kind of being disco-y. Not as disco as Miss You, but it was definitely had like that disco feel and something different. But Dance Part 1, Send It to Me, Little Indian Girl. I think that album is very, very underrated. And I think if you give it a listen, Down in the Hole, I think if you give that album a listen, you're going to love it because that is a great, underrated Stones album. Peter Gabriel released the Melty Face album that year. Games Without Frontiers is on that album. And Through the Wire with Paul Weller on guitar is on that album. Just an awesome album. I Don't Remember is on that album. Oddly enough, that's the name of the song, and I didn't remember the name. Great song. Great album. For people in the Boston area, Love Stinks came out by Jay Giles. Trying Not to Think About It. Love Stinks Comeback is on that album. It's Just Can't Wait. Boz Scaggs' Middleman with JoJo. Awesome album. The Holdout by Jackson Browne, which had the Boulevard and That Girl Can Sing. Awesome. Great songs. Great song. In fact, I think The Holdout was supposed to have Somebody's Baby, and he wasn't done with it and held on to it and then released it for the film there, Fast Times at Ridgemont High a couple of years later. Obviously, the opening song I played was Donny Iris, which was from 1980. Bruce Springsteen, The River. Hello. Independence Day. Stolen Car. Of course, Out in the Streets and all that other, all the big hits, Sherry Darling, The Ties That Bind. Arguably his best album. I can't say. I mean, these are all 1980, and just, again, take a look at what's coming out in the last 10 years. Of course, I'm a Neil Diamond fan. The Jazz Singer was 1980. Steve Winwood, Arc of a Diver was 1980. So, I mean, as you can see, we just have so much music from 1980 that was awesome. I even think the B-52's second album was from them. The Police had Zenyatta Mandata. Awesome. And then look what comes out like in the last 10 years with a reggae feel. That song, Why You Gotta Be So Cruel? I mean, it is like so syrupy pop. It is like the music industry is throwing everything away, and basically they want everybody to be the Bay City Rollers. I mean, and that's embarrassing. I mean, because, I was 8 years old in the Bay City Rollers, and I'm sitting there, you made me believe in that. And I look back at that, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And then I realized it's before I had testosterone, before I even knew what the hell was going on. You're just like, you're basically a female at that point until you go through puberty. Because those songs are awful. But, I mean, there's a video of them doing a song. Let me try to think of what song this was. It's, Be My Baby. And it is the most homoerotic thing. I'm like, how the hell was I watching this as a kid? It is so gay. And if you're gay, that's fine. I don't care if you're gay, but I don't need to watch two guys in front of a bunch of children grinding on each other. It is frightening. You gotta see this video on YouTube. It's hilarious. In fact, you know what? I'm going to post a clip of it right here. What the hell are we watching? If you can think of albums that I missed from 1980, please comment it. Let me know. So much great music. But where are we going? What's music doing? You know, we got all these people, and again, I mentioned Bonamassa only because he's so talked about and revered. Everyone's like, oh, I saw somebody post on Facebook the other day, oh, I took somebody to Bonamassa and his life is going to never be the same. Yeah, really? Yeah. I saw Peter Gabriel, Fifth Row. I've seen some of the greatest shows ever. Bonamassa, if the guy was playing my living room, I'm not sure that I would walk downstairs to make it. You know what I mean? I just don't hear a song there. I just don't hear a song. And, it's like, I just don't care. It's funny. I seen the Stones twice in 2006. And I'm a Stones fan. I like a lot of their songs. I would definitely say I like more of their lesser known songs. But I cannot stand Sympathy for the Devil. I just think the song's boring. Lyrically, it's boring. It's just a boring song. So both times I saw them, when that song came on, I hit the can. I went to the bathroom. I'm like, it's a horrible song. I don't care. I don't care if it's Keith coming out 2 feet from my seat. I'm not hanging around for the tune. It stinks. At that point, I'd rather go get a soft drink and also, use the head. But anyways, I'm going to do a lot more years, talk about a lot of different stuff. Obviously, 1980, for me, is one of my all-time favorite years. I was 12 years old. It was like the year right when I started getting heavily into music. I would say probably 78, I started really getting into, like, I had Foreigner Double Vision, and I remember 79, ELO Discovery. And right around 1980, when Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell came out, it was like it opened the floodgates. And years before that, I was always a Kiss fan, but 80 for me was a very pinnacle year, so I wanted to do that year first. And I'm going to go over, like I said, all the years and talk about great songs. The question is where are we going as a society if there's no music? I haven't seen anything that's great that's coming out. Of course, there's still some bands from the old days that are great. And in my albums of like top albums to check out, bands like 24/7 Spies. I'm very friendly with Jimmy and Rick in that band, and I know they're working on a new record, and it'll be awesome. But unfortunately, it won't be heard on the mass level that they need to be heard because that's one of the best bands. And if you ever get the chance, check out an album called Strength in Numbers. It's just awesome. I think it's an important album from the 90s, if not the best album of the 90s. Um, there are records that are being made. Of course, like Iron Maiden put out a record, and that's a great record. But is it as good as what they were doing when they did Peace of Mind or Power Slave or Seventh Son or Somewhere in Time? Sorry, I went out of order there, but is it as good as that? I know, like, Judas Priest is out there touring. I saw Judas Priest tour before KK Downing left the band, and I saw them do the British Steel album, and that was unbelievable. And then I also saw Rush do the Moving Pictures. And Rush is making records. Are they making the same great records? I don't think so, but that's not anybody's fault. I think bands have a window. It's like you take a look at Paul McCartney, and McCartney, like, probably had a longer window than some. McCartney was brilliant in the Beatles, and also I think in Wings. I think most of the 70s, McCartney was spot on. He had a couple of good songs in the 80s, and after that, I don't think he's written a decent song. And I have all those albums, all the new albums. I just don't think that it's the same guy. It's funny. And same with Elton John. Like, I don't think Elton John had an album after Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. After that, I mean, it's like one or two songs here and there are okay. Of course, I love Little Genie because I love the campiness of it, and I also love that Fender Rhodes sounder. But, there's a window. And it's funny because, like, Billy Joel doesn't make any new music, and he even said, I just don't have anything else to say. And it's like, I don't think you see a lot of people that will admit that, or that they, or that these bands have, are still relevant or can relate to the common man. You know, you got all the Hollywood people sitting there saying there shouldn't be walls, and yet they all have the biggest gated houses you'd ever see. You can't get anywhere near their house, so it's like, you know, can they even see the irony? But I think they lose touch, and some artists may have lost touch. You know, like Springsteen. Is Springsteen representative of the working man anymore? I don't think so. I don't think he's put out a decent. Well, Wrecking Ball had some alright songs. I'm not gonna lie. Wrecking Ball was all right. But are they the same albums as Born to Run and Darkness on the Edge of Town or The River? No, no. I mean, The River is like, I mean, it's great. It's just awesome. Think about it. What's going on with music? Who are the heroes today, and who's coming out to say, you know, here's some great songs. You know, um, people talked about the death of guitar, and it's like it's not just the death of guitar; it's the death of music, because the guitar player hero is really only the hero. Like Taylor Swift is really injected a lot of want to play the acoustic guitar in young girls. Well, she's no guitar hero, but she's a singer that has songs that these girls want to write their feelings and sing songs. And you can look on YouTube, and there's lots of little girls that are out there getting involved in music. And yet, what's inspiring the young guys? Like, what songs are out there? I mean, I'll tell you what it is. It's the old music that we all grew up on. You go see a band. I saw Iron Maiden. You go see Iron Maiden, and it's all young kids. And these young kids, I'm looking at them going, that's how old I was when I first saw Iron Maiden. How are they getting into them? And I think there's a hunger for music, and they'll find it. But what's a shame is that there are new artists out there that could probably be doing a lot of great stuff, but no one's paying any heed to them. Um, and on that note, I'm going to call it a day because I'm hungry. I want to eat, and I might run down to Plymouth. I might get this pedal by Moore. It's called a pitch box. I've been working on some harmony stuff, and I figured it should be a pedal on my board. The question is which board. No idea yet. All right. So, anyways, hope you have a great day. I'm gonna get out of here. Very good.
You're right on target. You hit the nail right on the head with your comments, what you're saying today. You're right on the money. Everything you said.